The hint of recognition when I saw it.
How are you doing? How are you?
Oh,
Let's see.
pretty good.
Oh my.
Pretty fancy, huh?
Oh, that is pretty big, huh? But it is allowing you to walk. That's a miracle. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Om Namah Shivaya. Feeling better?
Yes, oh yes.
Okay, good. It's a little lopsided. We hope it will oblige. Yeah, it's okay. It just seems to have a leftist bent. Perfect. Thank you. Namah Shivaya. Now, what is this?
Vocab lists.
Huh?
Additional vocab for today.
Vocab?
Vocab.
Vocabulary. Oh, vocab. Okay. Typical American style. Yeah, not nearby object. Yeah. That Upadhi means, yeah, it doesn't have a direct translation, that is correct. Its definition is that which has a shape, name and form. You can say that. That which has a name and form. Yeah. You don't say its definition. Upadhi doesn't have a direct translation. It is a name and form. Okay. Yeah. That's all. So imagine a crystal ball that is transparent, free of color, and an orange cloth behind it. When the cloth is behind the crystal, it brings out an apparent change in the crystal. And the crystal looks as though it is orange. Correct. Orange cloth is the upadhi for the crystal. Cut out the orange there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Upadhi then is the quote-unquote conditioning factor for the Atma. You have to add. Conditioning factor for what, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is the as though conditioning factor for the Atma, which makes it appear. It doesn't make things appear from what they are. Yeah. It's an as though conditioning factor for the Atma that makes it appear in different names and forms, in different ways. Mm-hmm. See, this is a good exercise because it, what is that? Sharpens the thing.
Yes.
Avachedavada, Pratibimbavada, the theory of, yeah. These two theories are used to understand the as though multiplicity of not beings, things that are seen. The Avachedavada explain that Brahman is seen because of being as though conditioned Brahman is seen as many because of as though conditioned by various upadhis. Very good. The classic example is pot space. What is inside the pot and outside the pot is undifferentiated space, but the space in the pot seems to be small and trapped inside the pot. The space inside the pot needs a space guru to tell that it is non-separate from space and that there is nothing, that it is nothing but space, and that the pot is merely an upadhi, and as though conditioning agent that makes it appear to be separate from space as though outside the pot. So, yeah, that is well written. In fact, the definition of upadhi is coming out much better in Avachedavada. And that's frequently the case. When we try to describe one thing, we feel like bringing in everything, you know? Yeah. Oh, new live stream is not working.
Huh?
Yeah. New live stream is showing a big error. Oh, because the URL has been changed. You are going to the wrong place. Yeah, the new URL now is, yeah, that's all, small things, yeah. So, www, not 4 W's, only 3, new.livestream.com / okay, there you go. Try that, and it is already on the website. So, this is how it is.
They bookmarked it.
Huh?
They bookmarked it.
Yeah, you see, that is, sometimes the books don't work. And marks also don't work. So, now, yeah, merely an upadhi. Pratibimbavada posits that all the inert minds, see, when you say all the inert minds, it makes me think that there are some minds that are not inert. So, just a linguistic thing, you know. So, all the minds shine in, take out inert here, you know, shine in the borrowed light of consciousness. Just as there is one sun in the room that appears as many when being reflected, not reflecting, the sun doesn't do the reflecting. While being reflected in many pots of water, so too there is only one consciousness that appears as many when it illumines the inert mind. Here the inert is perfectly put. Yeah. Anirmoksha prasanga. Actually, Anirmoksha prasanga is the impossibility of the possibility of moksha. But you cannot say that. So the impossibility of the possibility of moksha, and it will look odd to say that, but so the impossibility of moksha is, so it's not actually the impossibility of moksha. How shall we say this? It's actually the possibility of impossibility of moksha. So you put it in a more eloquent way. If we see Jiva as separate from Ishvara, if we may take the limiting factors to be real, no, this is not Anirmoksha prasanga. Yeah. I mean, nice try.
I looked at it last night and I have to say, I just kind of went, made the sentence.
So, no, that's okay. This is not exact. I mean, technically it's correct. I mean, it's not wrong that yes, if you identify with a body, mind, sense complex, you in your life, whoever so that person may be, they in their life forever will never have moksha, correct? So for them, there is the impossibility of the possibility of moksha for this particular upadhi that is identifying with the upadhi. Absolutely correct. However, anirmoksha prasanga is a technical term which talks about the various fallacies in the text itself, that is, if which sort of preempts us from reading the text in a particular way, because if we read the text in a particular way, then moksha would not be possible, and since the Upanishad is a treatise on moksha, then we should not read the text in a particular way. Got it?
So it's more to do with the reading of the...
It's more to do with an interpretation. It is more to do with the hermeneutics of the interpretation and why a certain interpretation will not work and a certain interpretation absolutely will not work. Primarily because if we take this, we get into an infinite regress. And why is infinite regress not okay? Because it is anirmoksha prasanga. It leads to anirmoksha prasanga. Okay? So even though this is technically not incorrect, it's correct. That okay, if one keeps identifying with a body, mind, sense complex, one will never have the possibility of moksha. But here something else it's a technical term to describe something. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's a dosha. It's a fallacy. Yeah, the fallacy of the impossibility of moksha. That's what it is. The fallacy where moksha is impossible due to a faulty thinking or due to a faulty interpretation of the particular lines of the Upanishad or something like that. Very good. Excellent. What a nice thing to do first thing in the morning. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karabhavahai Tejasvinnavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, Om Bhadram Karnebhi Sriniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Sushtuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitankyadayuhu Swastina Indro Vridhashravaha Swastina Pusha Vishvavedaha Swastina Starkshyo Arishtanemihi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, Tadetat Satyam, repeated here, talking about absolute Satyam. Yatha Sudiptat Pavakat Visphulingaha. Very clear. Like out of a well-lit fire, all these sparks are flying off, Prabhavante. And they are flying off how? They are not just unlike the fire. In fact, they look like the fire. Sarupaha. They look like the fire in terms of sharing the intrinsic qualities of the fire, such as light and heat. So even if a small little spark comes and alights on your hand, you will feel the little pinch, correct? Yeah, that's why it's called alights. And it sets the hand alight. And so that is, so therefore they are sarupaha. Tatha aksharad, aksharat bhavaha. All these beings, all these things, here we are talking of jivas, tatha jivaha bhavaha prabhavante. Same way, out of this akshara, which akshara? The one that is being talked about here, the one that was to be known as a vritti, through the understanding that all this, through the assimilation of the words of the pramana handled by the Guru after approaching the Guru, all this has been talked about. And this was what was told to, who is the disciple here? Who is the teacher? Angiras. Very good. I consider this an auspicious start. Very auspicious start. So here we have this, in this dialogue, Shaunaka was told akshara, the definition of akshara, another vocab thing, is that through which, what is this definition of para? Is that through which akshara is known. And what is that? That which happens in the mind when the what is that called? The ignorance is being spirited away. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, what's going on? Oh, this is so good. Really? This is me? That is what is called Akshara. That is what is called Para. And that, is through which this Akshara is known as the truth of oneself. So that dismissing of the ignorance is called Paravidya, it was told. And this Akshara is what needs to be understood. And so here Akshara is being defined as that which has given birth to all these various forms and names. So one thing we have to remember, the names and forms are upadhi, really. The conditioning agent, you can put that in the definition of upadhi, as though conditioning agent for Atma, for Brahman. So this is something which is very wonderful, because the upadhi is, that's why there is no translation. Because the conditioning agent, when we talk about as though conditioning agent, we run into a very interesting question here. So we have the nama and rupa, that is the upadhi, correct? Now, then we know that, then we are told that prabhavante, sahasa prabhavante, all of a sudden they are coming out of this fire. Whether we are talking of sparks or the, or the jivas, what is exemplified by the fire is consciousness, Brahman. So whether they are coming out of the fire or they are coming out of consciousness, they are all coming out, correct? And then while they are there, during their tenure, on this loka or elsewhere, these upadhis, they remain because of consciousness. This is very clear. And then finally, they go back to consciousness. Now we know very well that the name and form is upadhi, but what about the going, the remaining and coming? This is very interesting. So, these things that burst forth, and that, like even the chick coming out of the egg, and then what? And then, remaining for as long as its prarabdha is there, so to speak, and then returning back to Brahman. So this going, coming and remaining, is this going, coming and remaining belonging to the upadhi or belonging to Brahman? Brahman? Upadhi? Now we have kotidvayam, which I love. Kotidvayam means two pakshas. Oh, that doesn't help. Two groups. Two groups, kotidvayam. Some people say that the going and the coming is belonging to Brahman. The dharma of going and coming is belonging to Brahman, because out of everything, out of all these things came out of Brahman alone, and they go back to Brahman. That is one paksha. And what is the other paksha? The other paksha is saying that these dharmas, these attributes of going and coming belong to the upadhi. Think about it little more. What sounds more correct? Do they belong to the upadhi or do they belong to Brahman?
Brahman is attributeless.
That is very well said. Wonderful. So if Brahman is attributeless, is coming an attribute? Yes. Is going an attribute? Yes. Double yes. Is remaining an attribute? Yes. Yes. And so this upadhi brings with it the coming and the going. This is what we have to understand. A small few details about the upadhi. We started with upadhi today. This is how it is. So this going and coming is also built into the upadhi, because it is its own karmic trajectory, correct? Yeah, it has its own karmic trajectory. And it doesn't, it comes and goes. And the reason why there is confusion around whether this belongs to the upadhi or whether this belongs to Brahman is because we think of Brahman, we think of Bhagavan as the creator, correct? We think of Bhagavan, Ishvara, as the sustainer. We think of Ishvara as the destroyer. So that is also that is also correct. But only only when we know that even Bhagavan is an upadhi on top of quote unquote what? Brahman. Yes. So then when we say it from the standpoint of Ishvara Srishti Karta, the Karta of the whole Jagat, Srishti Bharta, the Bharta means what? The upkeeper, the maintainer, the electrician, the mechanic of the whole Jagat, plumber, everything. And then what? Samharta, the one who takes the Jagat back, the wrecking ball of the Jagat. Also Ishvara, everything is Ishvara. But then when we say it that way, that is correct only because first there is an upadhi for Brahman called Ishvaratvam, and from the standpoint of this upadhi, Brahman gains the epithet of being the what? The creator, destroyer, sustainer, etc., etc. But if we are just talking of the fire and then sparks flying out and what it exemplifies, that out of Brahman has come all these things, well, yes and no. There is no coming and going. The coming and going dharmas also are connected to the upadhi. There is no coming and going. Just like if space is divided, last time we talked about this, space is divided into house space, room space, divider space, all these things, closet space. From the standpoint of space, there is no divisions, correct? Again, from the standpoint of Brahman, there are no divisions between me and this upadhi and that upadhi. It's all Brahman alone. But from the standpoint of these small upadhis that seems to come and go, we have to say that upadhi dharma, the attributes of the upadhi, include this going and coming, is packaged inside each upadhi. It's already written when it is going to come. It will not be born a minute before. In India there's this recent and dangerous trend. And what is the trend? If they know when the baby is due, like for example, on a particular time. And some of these very orthodox people, they purposely go in for a caesarean section after looking at the muhurta. I mean, the woman is perfectly capable of having a normally delivering the baby, but they want to go in for a C-section because at this point in time, if the child is born, it will become, the next president of the United States. So, not India. They are not interested in that. Yeah. So, India Prime Minister means a lot of headaches. Yeah. Modi is buying up all the aspirins that are being sold there. So, it's not easy. So, American, even there is headaches, but at least there is more status. You can kind of strut around and show that you are the bully of the world, That's why it is seen as a big thing, big accomplishment. So now here, the whole thing about wanting to be born at a certain time, and what is that? Having that C-section, planning that C-section so that the child is born at 3:47 a.m. because that's the most auspicious time on this particular day. And then they keep everything ready, the anesthesia, the surgeon, everything is there, But we have found that something invariably goes wrong so that it is delayed by even 5 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Enough. For the horoscope, even 5 minutes is enough. Horoscope to turn into horoscope only takes 5 minutes. Yeah. Little bit here, there, finished. Yeah. And then this is what we have seen time and again. And let's say that, okay, in one of the things, this situation succeeded, this ploy succeeded. That's because that child would have been born at that time anyway. Yeah. This is what we have to see. So the upadhi dharma within the wrapping is the time of birth, the place of birth, the manner of birth with a cord entangled around, around C-section, all these vichitra births. What is that other one? Breech birth. The legs come first, all these things. So many different kinds of births are there. All those, the manner of birth is also upadhi dharma. And then what? And the remaining also, whether the child remains always on a soft, blanket and a nice, cushy life, golden spoon, platinum spoon, silver spoon, diamond spoon in its mouth, doesn't have to do anything. If it looks, 100 people will come and say, what do you want? What do you want, little master? What do you want? People will do that. And then, they like all these characters we hear about in the Mahabharata, Ramayana, and these princesses, all these things. So like this, people just to, people at every hand, everywhere you turn, there is somebody to serve. And whereas some other upadhis, what do they have in their lot? Not a lot. So, not a lot at all. Hand to mouth existence. Even by the time the hand goes to the mouth, it is snatched away by the flying crow. This is the karma for some people. For some people, they don't even know what sadness is. Sometimes they are just like that. And they don't know they know what sadness is, but they don't know what the sadness is from want of just the basic necessities. That they don't know. They may have some other kind of spiritual sadness and poverty of, that kind of poverty. But here, the material way, they are very comfortable. Certain other people are comfortable spiritually. Materially, there is, not even 2 pennies to rub together. This is what the whole thing is. So the way the upadhi remains, and of course the way the upadhi, quote unquote, goes back. Upadhi doesn't go back. In fact, it has not even come. The way the upadhi resolves and Brahman that goes back to Brahman. Really, we become ridiculous using these kinds of grammar. So the way it goes back is also already talked about. How, various, Lord Yama is very creative. Yeah, he always doesn't give hospital death, sitting there and tick, tick, tick and flat line and then, clear and clear. Okay, 20 minutes, nothing happened, the person is not coming back. Doctor signs the death certificate and hangs it on the big toe and leaves the room. That is not how every death looks like. There are very, very various different kinds of deaths. And in Kali Yuga, there are many, many forms of death that we even didn't know about. So many things, all these syndromes and these worms and germs and... if you start talking about it, it will become very depressing. So therefore, this is also written into the upadhi itself. But the question is, who is the writer? I told you, make a differentiation between Brahman, consciousness, and Brahman with another upadhi, an all-knowing, omniscient upadhi, pervasive upadhi called Ishvara. The Ishvara, when we talk about Ishvara, it is upadhi writing the fate of another upadhi. Not a big deal. That is understandable, it's not beyond logic. So here, in this thing here, it's talking about, I told you as an introduction last time that this whole section is really going to rely quite a bit on negation. Neti, neti, na iti. Neti, neti. So here it is negating the fact that, even though it's saying everything came out of Brahman, is sustained by Brahman, we saw in the Bhashya that it was negating the fact that these upadhis are anyway non-separate from Brahman. It was negating that they were separate. It was negating the fact that they were separate from Brahman. In fact, they were one and the same, sarupaha. This is what is the whole thing. So this coming and going, being upadhi dharma, the attribute belonging to the upadhi, Brahman is not culpable here of any, uncharacteristic behavior at all. Okay? So this is what was talked about. I think we have finished the Bhashya. So we finished the Bhashya last time. I just did not want to... Huh?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I did not want to do the second verse because it requires a lot of, explanation. Divyo hyamurtah purushah.
Divyo hyamurtah purushah.
Sabahyabhyantaro hyajah.
Sabahyabhyantaro hyajah.
Aprano hyamanah shubhrah.
Aprano hyamanah shubhrah.
Hyaksharat paratah parah.
Hyaksharat paratah parah.
Nice, easy verse, except a lot of he's. Yeah. So, so now the thing is this: these nama rupas we saw have come in the last mantra. We saw that all these nama rupas have come from what? Brahman. Correct? Yeah. Now we should not make the mistake, Adi Shankara says, of thinking that if the nama rupas have come out of Brahman, that makes Brahman the cause. I just talked about this. And the nama rupas, the so-called upadhis, what? The effect. Because there are in the world two kinds of causes. We know this. We've done this before. There are two kinds of causes. What is the first kind of cause? That's what we know in the universe. Fabric has become a shirt. Has become whatever you wear. Shirt, sweater, whatever the fabric has become a shirt. Correct? Yeah. Fabric is the cause. Shirt is the effect. Now if the fabric says, I want myself back, my own Swarupa back. It cannot get that. I mean, of course, you can rip apart the seams and it is there, but then, it is a kind of awkward, So it cannot change. And then the classic example that is given is what? Milk and curds, yogurt. You make yogurt and you add a little bit of a starter, little bit of yogurt you add in warm milk, keep it in a warm place, especially in these winter days. And then, after what seems like a long time, what happens? The whole thing sets. There is a setting of the milk. Yeah, it becomes yogurt. The whole bowl of milk becomes yogurt. Then if you say, come on, at least 1 teaspoon turn back into milk, I want to put it in my coffee, it's not going to oblige. Correct? Yeah. This is what is the best example to illustrate the first form of transformation or the cause effect that we find, where the cause, changes, where the cause undergoes a change to become an effect. Even our regular pot clay comes under this example, because the clay undergoes what is called an effect called kathinyam. Kathinyam means what? Kathinasya bhava. Kathinya means hardness. I can do this to pot and make a sound, but if I do this to clay, it will not come. Why? Because it is soft. It's not hard. It's much more malleable. And then if I make a pot out of that clay, proceed to put some liquid in it and drink, I will be having a diet of subsoil. Some people do that. Some people dig up in their backyard. I knew one person who did this. Yeah, dig up the backyard, and there is something called subsoil. After all the topsoil is gone, that what is underneath the topsoil is subsoil. And then you take 3-4 teaspoons, generous helping, 1 tablespoon, and you put it in water, mix it and drink it first thing in the morning. This is your daily beverage. What happens? Supposedly, it is a detoxifier like clay. That's why people have all these mud baths. They go and put mud all over the body. They don't, but somebody must be doing it at these, what are they? Spa, yes. So they go and they put mud and sit there for a few hours and come back, and just like the mud draws the toxins from the body via the skin, this intake of the subsoil, just because I'm saying it, don't try it at home or anywhere else. So, but some people do it, this subsoil. You can, so another way of having the subsoil is that unbaked pot. You make your coffee in it and try to drink it. More than coffee, you will have subsoil. So therefore the pot needs to go into an oven, a kiln, and get baked, and then it is still clay, but it is a hardened form of clay. So for the one uninitiated in Vedanta, we can say this clay has become pot, correct? So because there are changes. So this is the kind of cause-effect relationship that we are the most familiar with, because the cause always undergoes a change in order to bring forth the effect. This is what is called parinami karanam, upadana karanam. Upadana means the material cause. Parinami karanam. The parinami upadana karanam. Parinami. Parinamaha asya asti iti parinamin. So parinami means it is subject to change. That which is subject to change, the cause. Then there is another kind of cause, rarely encountered. Very rarely encountered. And what is that? That which does not become the effect. It is in fact, it retains its causal status. It does not undergo any change while becoming the effect. The cause remains a cause without, quote unquote, changing or becoming the effect. Like, for example, you and your dream. You dreamed at night that you had grown what are these? Horns. Yeah, nice ones, And they had bells attached to them, like the cows in India. And they had paint on them. Lovely neon paint. And you kept shaking your head and enjoying the chimes. Correct? Then what happens when you wake up in the morning?
No horns.
No horns. Yeah. No chimes. No paint. Nothing. And not even a little bump where the horns were. Correct? So this whole dream, you could dream so many things. You could dream that you had a monkey's tail. At the same time, you had the wings of an eagle. So you did not know whether to jump or to fly. You were confused in the dream. And in the morning, no wings, no tail, thank God. Wings okay, but tail can be, very difficult. Such a long time I have worked hard to evolve from this tail. Now it's just in the form of a small bone at the base of the spine. That's enough. Tail very awkward in this day and time. So, all these are dreamed. All kinds of weird, wacky dreams the person has. And then sometimes you get the dream that somebody has beaten you up, full of wounds. Limping, you wake up, or so you think. And then when you wake up, there's not a single bruise anywhere. So you are the cause of the dream. The dream is the effect. The cause did not undergo any change when the effect was produced, so to speak. And this is what is called vivarta karanam, vivarta upadana karanam. Vivarta, vividham vartate. Vivarta means it manifests in so many forms without undergoing any loss, any change, any transformation. This is what we have to see. Without undergoing any change. What is the it? Brahman here. Because Brahman can manifest as so many upadhis, millions of upadhis, but Brahman has not undergone any loss. There is not less of Brahman. And Brahman has not undergone any change. Brahman has become tired after manifesting all these upadhis. So no loss, no change. No transformation at all. Why? It all depends on the fact that the nature of the upadhi is mithya. That is what you have to write in the definition. The nature of the upadhi is such that its reality is such that it is neither can be confirmed as existent, nor can be dismissed as non-existent. All upadhis are like this. They are still awaiting confirmation, which they will never get, these upadhis. That's why sadness doesn't stay. It's awaiting confirmation, but it doesn't get it after a while, That's why after having a good night's sleep, no matter how sad the person was before going to bed, the next day doesn't look so bad. Suddenly, because the sadness, which is, an upadhi, which is loved by all sadly loved by all jivas, at one point in time or the another, sadly loved or not, but universally taken on, that in that sense I use loved. Nobody loves to be sad, but sadly taken on by all the jivas at one point in time or the other. These upadhis, sadness, anger, etc., they come there and they await confirmation. Maybe they think I'm on a tenure track job. I'll get tenure. I'm here to stay. But then the person's own nature rejects that, really. The person's own nature. Satchidananda, there is no space for this upadhi, and there is the person himself, herself doesn't want this sadness. And so the sadness is denied by one's own swarupa, denies that sadness. So in other words, mithya is booted out by satyam really here. When the jnanodaya, when the knowledge takes place, there is no space for mithya to arrive or to continue to stay. So therefore here, all these upadhis are there without undergoing any change on part of Brahman. No change, no transformation. So therefore, I'm still on the last verse, I'm doing the segue here. So even though we chanted it, we are not really doing this verse here. So therefore, this whole question of sarupaha, we have to understand carefully. Sad jiva, ananda brahman, what is sarupa about it? Sad jiva, ananda brahman. Brahman is ananda, correct? Jiva is sad. And here it says sarupaha. All the upadhis have the same nature. The sadness itself is an upadhi. This we have to understand. So all the upadhis that come and go do not leave an imprint upon Brahman. Neither do they lessen Brahman. Brahman's scarcity is there because so many upadhis, it has become the upadhis. No. Neither do they change Brahman. Brahman was robust, now it has become tired. That's why Brahman doesn't need a day off. No rest is needed. Because there is no exertion, there is no kartritvam, there is no doing, so no rest is needed. So, therefore, this whole thing we have to understand very carefully, that whenever we talk of karanatvam or causality for Brahman, it is an imbued causality, it's an imputed causality, it's an as though causality. And when we talk about this imputed causality, we talk about it in Sanskrit as vivarta karanam. So the material cause, the raw material being non-separate from Brahman, the raw material itself manifests into two forms of causes here, in generally. And on the empirical level, the raw material usually we find takes on a certain, change to become the effect. That is called parinami karanam. But here, vivarta karanam. Vivarta. Vividham vartate. It is in many forms without undergoing the slightest change, just like you can have many dreams in one night. You can be the hero in one and the villain in the next, and then without undergoing any change. No change at all. So parinami and vivarta we have to keep in mind. And that is what is said in the Bhashya for this, to explain this segue. Now that we have understood this, it will be very easy to go through the Sanskrit. Namarupa Bijabhuta Bijabhutat Avyakrita Akhyat Swa Vikara Upekshaya Apekshaya Para Daksharat Parad Aksharat Param Yat Sarva Upadhi Bheda Varjitam Aksharasya Eva Swarupam Akashasya Eva Sarva Murta Varjitam Neti Neti Ityadi Visheshanam Vivakshan Aha. Yeah, so that's all it's saying. Nama Rupa Bija Bhutat Avyakritat Avyakrita Akhyat Swavikara Apekshaya Parad Aksharat. So Nama Rupa Bhuta Bija Bhutat. So that which is the cause of all the Nama Rupas. So Bija Bhuta, that is which is in the seed form of the cause of all the Nama Rupas, and itself is what? Avyakritat. Avyakrita Akhyat. Itself is called what? Unmanifest. Vyakrita, manifest. Avyakrita, unmanifest. Itself unmanifest, but is the seed cause of all the names and forms, and it is also called Para. Para and Aksharat. Aksharat Param. Aksharat Param. Here, that which is here Akshara doesn't mean, in the next verse Akshara doesn't mean Akshara. Oh my God, what does it mean then? It means Maya. Okay? So that's why Aksharat Param, because what is beyond Akshara? Nothing. You know, if we take the first definition that we all know of Akshara, Akshara is that which is the truth of yourself. Brahman is called Akshara. But here Aksharat Parataf Paraha, you know, in the next verse. So Aksharat Param Kim. So that which is beyond Akshara. Akshara here is Maya. That which is beyond. Maya is Parinami Karanam. That we have to understand. Brahman is Vivarta Karanam. Maya undergoes change. Maya becomes the effect. Maya, is a cause, is a Parinami cause, is a cause that undergoes change. First, she undergoes change into Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. She has 3 colors with which she paints the whole colors of the Jagat. First Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and then what? All these other things, they come out of the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So she has undergone a change and become these various gunas, correct? And from these gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, we have these colorations in various combinations of all the things that exist in the universe. Like quintessential examples, rock, tamas, doesn't go anywhere, sits in one place, correct? Yeah. And 2-year-old child, rajas, runs around, meditating monk, sattva. These are all just, examples, very, what's that word for the classic examples. But here, this is what it is. The Maya is Parinami. So here, that is why I made the two definitions I gave here, so that we don't confuse between what undergoes change and what does not undergo change. Maya undergoes change. Correct? Because first she is the avyakrita. This is what is being said here. Avyakrita. She is in the form of the seed cause, a kind of a cause that is a potential lying in wait. Maya is also called Hiranyagarbha, from a different standpoint. That potential to create is there. But the potential to create is always unmanifest. You cannot say there it is because it's in the form of a potential. And if we were constrained to say, where is this potential? The potential is in the form of a power belonging to Ishvara. The belonging is mithya. The power itself is mithya. Maya is not Satyam. Maya is mithya. Maya is an upadhi that makes Brahman into Ishvara. This is very exciting, fascinating. So if Maya makes Brahman into Ishvara, Maya is stronger than Brahman, no such thing. Because where did Maya come out of? Well, there is no coming and going. All right. Just, don't give me all fancy things. Where did Maya come from? If you really ask, where did everything come from? You have to say, Brahman. So Maya also came from Brahman. Everything that comes from Brahman is mithya. Coming is also mithya. I told you it belongs to the upadhi. Going is also mithya. So to Maya is also the one more, upadhi really. Kalpita upadhi. Kalpita. Kalpita means an imagined upadhi. All knowledge, all power, all, things, all the creative potential, Ichha Shakti. The power to desire. So kamayati, that kama is used there. Because that kama, that desire to quote unquote become many, doesn't belong to Brahman, belongs to Maya. Bahusyam praja yegeti. That power to, that desire to become many, does not belong to Brahman. Brahman has no desires. And then what? Then this power to become many, what happens to this? It morphs into various names and forms. Correct? And that morphing, that undergoing all this change. And what is the main change? Maya undergoes avyakrita to vyakrita. That is the main change. It doesn't remain avyakrita. It manifests. That's the vikshepa shakti. Avyakrita is if it was always avyakrita, we would only have avarna. Correct? We would not have vikshepa. Vikshepa means the projection of Maya. Avarana is the covering. Okay, that which is, unmanifest can cover in a way, but it manifests. It manifests in the form of the name and form. It gives the substance of that which is the raw material for the name and form, the parinami karanam. So this is Maya. And then what? And then the rest of it, is that which has as though entered this whole universe is Brahman. Because wherever there is Maya, there is Brahman. Correct? Wherever there is mithya, there is Satyam. Can you say it the other way around? Wherever there is Satyam, there is mithya? No. Yeah. That's why there is this hopeless, entangling, starting with his own body. Correct? I am sick. I only, I am not, this, I am not that. I have a want. I am hungry. I am angry. I am restless. I am blind. I am deaf. I am mute. I am mute, of course, you cannot say. But, so many things. You can think that. But the thing is this, that, in all these I am, and the limited upadhi that I am hanging on to, that hanging itself is because of another upadhi called ahankara. That itself is an upadhi. It's a master upadhi. Yeah, that holds on to all these small upadhis and claims it for itself. So when I say I am sick, the nice thing is, the people don't complain. One complaint you never hear is I am dead. That you never hear. Even they may be saying it, but you never hear that. So this is the whole thing. This is the fascinating thing. The whole Jagat is from unmanifest. Unmanifest means no names, no forms, no upadhis. Upadhi less, upadhi less Jagat, which is what? which is Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti. There is no Jagat there. But we say Upadhi less Jagat because the Jagat exists where? As a potential. Avyakrita. So you cannot see, this is the fun part about Maya. When you start discussing Maya, you can become loopy. Yeah, totally you can go in loops. So can you say Jagat exists when it is unmanifest? That becomes like a Zenish question. Really. Yes, it does, but as a potential. No, it doesn't. How? In a manifest form. But yes, it does, because somewhere the whole blueprint is carried. That knowledge is carried. So Maya in the Avyakrita form is Jnana Shakti of Ishvara. The power of knowing. In the Vyakrita form is the Kriya Shakti of Ishvara. So the Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, the Ichha is again unmanifest, and the Jnana Shakti, the knowledge is there, the potential is there, the desire is there, and then the manifestation takes place. And so this is called Akshara to make matters more interesting. But this Akshara is the local cause, the empirical cause, not the absolute causeless cause. This Akshara means Maya. Okay? So therefore, now, Adi Shankara is saying that now that we have been told that all these Namarupas have come from this spark-like Namarupas have come from this fire-like Brahman, this was explained. Now we have to see that, that out of this Akshara, which is Maya, all the Bijas, now the seed form of Namarupas are being held, number one, and number two, they are being projected. Correct? And they are being projected, and then what? While at the same time, Parad Aksharat Param, and while at the same time, that which is beyond Akshara, Akshara 2 here, Maya, that which is beyond Maya, Sarva Upadhi Bheda Varjitam, itself is free of the divisions caused by the Upadhis. What are the divisions? Between one Upadhi and another Upadhi, those divisions. And divisions within the same Upadhi. So that which is the cause, the Parinami cause, the first one we have, the Parinami cause. What is the Parinami cause? Yeah, Maya is the Parinami cause. And the second effect, when we say Brahman doesn't undergo any change, it is the Vivarta cause. Vivarta Karanam. So Sarva Upadhi Bheda Varjitam, Bheda Rahitam. So Sarva Upadhinaha Bheda Rahitatvam Asti Yasya Brahmanaha. Aksharasya eva Swarupam Akashasya eva Sarvabhuta Varjitam Neti Neti iti Visheshanam Vivakshan Aha. So now the Upanishad is going to talk about this through a the text is now going to proceed through talk about the imperishable Akshara, that limitless Brahman Akshara, which is actually higher than Maya, which is perishable, even though it is called Akshara, which is the seed of every name and form, which is called unmanifest, Avyakrita, and which is itself what? Which is itself this Maya itself is under the control or wielded by Brahman, which is itself under the control of Brahman, because it is a Kalpita Upadhi to Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is not waylaid by Maya. Like Maya doesn't become Mrs. Frankenstein, who just multiplies and does all these horrible things where one's own creation comes back to attack oneself. This never happens to Bhagavan. Because Maya is a Kalpita Upadhi, a Mithya Upadhi. So the Mithya this Upadhi does not hurt Bhagavan, because it is one and the same as Bhagavan. It cannot hurt Bhagavan. And so this Upadhi, which is, this this upadhi which is called akshara here, but it is akshara here means maya, and it is unmanifest, whereas the absolute akshara, the akshara that we have been discussing so far, the meaning of the term, is devoid of all differences created by upadhis, which is the very essence of what? Maya. One akshara is the essence of the other akshara. That's why Maya is called akshara. Adi Shankara is explaining why Maya is called akshara, because when you take away the name and form and the potential to create and all the parinama, what remains is akshara. So therefore Maya is also called akshara. Very beautiful, very nicely put. So therefore, talking about this, where when you take away Maya, what remains is that which is without upadhi, free of all upadhis, which is the essence, which is the total essence of everything. Swarupa, which is the total nature of everything that is occupied by the upadhis. In fact, the very nature plus upadhis is what makes a thing a thing. So you take away the upadhis, then we have Brahman, which is free of upadhis, vivarta karanam. And then what? Swarupam akashasya eva. So and what is this essence like? Free of all attributes. Sarvam murta vivarjitam. Free of all attributes, free of all forms. Murta here he uses because the next verse is going to use the word murta. So free of all attributes, free of all forms, the very essence of everything. And how is it to be seen? Because of this entanglement. Satyanrite mithuni kritya means where the satya and satyam and mithya are hopelessly intertwined. Do you see this? Yeah. Like even, in pot. If you take a local example, pot. What is inside the pot? Don't say another pot. Yeah. Now what is inside the pot? Space. Yeah. So the space, which is Satya, correct? And sometimes it's also called Satya, very interesting, out of the elements. So this Satya, pot space, is it different from this Satya around the pot space? No, not at all. Correct? But because of one's own limitations, one sees the upadhi as real. So if you take away the pot space, the pot cognitively, if you take away the pot cognitively, you understand that this space is the same as pot space. So the essence of pot space is the same as the essence of space. Space is free of attributes. Pot space is also equally free of attributes, even though we are calling it pot space. So similarly, Brahman is free of attributes, even though we are calling it, Karanam, the cause. Even though we are calling it a cause, it is free of attributes. And then something that has attributes, like Maya, which is the attribute giver, that which provides things with attributes, that also is what? That also is Brahman. And the attributes themselves are mithya. Maya itself is mithya. But here, when we look at something with attributes, like pot space plus attribute called pot, then there is a happy mixing of what? The as though mixing of the satyam and mithya. Mithya pot, satya space get entangled. And where are we getting to here? Mithya body, mithya mind, mithya anxiety, mithya emotions, mithya fears, mithya tears get entangled with satyam. Entangled as though. So, entangled how? Because, in fact, without satya, they will never even express themselves. And expressing themselves, what happens to them? They just forget that which is the source of this expression. And then they get, intermingled with each other, which is the cause of samsara, samsaro. Yeah. And so therefore, to remove this samsara, what do we have to have? We have to have a new teaching methodology that is going to be introduced via the next verse and some others also to come later, which is called neti neti. So because that which has been inextricably, as it were, mixed up, has to be removed, one thing at a time. And with this mithya, it's a very gooey, this mithya. It's ooey and gooey and sticky. So you wash your hands off and then it sticks to another hand. You wash these fingers off, it sticks to the next finger. And then, it's like sometimes, these children, they hold your hand and then you just pry them one finger at a time. Again, they have already held somewhere else. So this mithya has monkey grip. Grippati makes it grips is very tight. And then as soon as you let go in one area, it gloms on as it were to another area. So therefore, you have to keep saying, na iti, not this, not this, not this, not this way, not this way, not this way. In the hope that Satyam will be delineated and understood as the truth of oneself, so that this mix-up is what is being talked about. The mix-up between the creator of the so-called upadhis and the upadhis themselves is the creator Brahman. No, it is Maya. Then what is this Maya? The mix-up of Maya and Brahman, the mix-up of upadhis and Brahman, the mix-up of Maya and upadhis, all these, this like an entangled ball of twine. After some kittens have gone through it, this is what is the whole thing. So we have to sit and unravel. This unravel goes by the name of neti neti. So usually at this time we take a break. Correct? Yeah. So today also we'll take a break. But what we will do is that we'll end the class here because there is some work to be done. And so I'm hoping that some people can pitch in to to help with the CD project, which is here. And if you're not able to help, you may go home. But the hope is that you can help. Okay? All right. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Even though we are making progress, it would look like we are making slow progress. It's not. This is all very deep and extremely intricate knowledge. And this knowledge, what it is like we've done the vacuuming. And then now you have to use the various tools, the attachments, to go into the corners where the ignorance is hiding, under the boards and all these things. So this is a detailed cleaning of the mind which has what? Ignorance. So this is a clean sweep of ignorance. So tomorrow, remember, it's not early class, you can sleep in. Dindima, 9:30 to noon, okay? And 3 o'clock we have Gita chanting.
So when did you get?
Yeah.
This afternoon?
Oh yeah, this afternoon at 4. Thank you. Gita class. And tomorrow at 3 o'clock Gita Jayanti celebration. Gita will be chanted.
And I think on this live stream, I don't think actually last night, so it should be like, if they're on the East Coast, it should say East Coast Standard Time, so, but they should know that.
Well, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They know that whenever I talk, it is usually West Coast time. So we'll see. That's very nice. One more thing in favor of